Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is another beautiful evening here in Washington State. I want to talk about a knife. I want to talk about the Spyderco Manix 2. Yeah, I've had this thing for like a month and a half. Haven't shown it on the channel at all. Haven't shown it on my Instagram until recently. But yeah, here it is. Black on black. Really, really cool looking knife. Yeah, let's talk about this thing though. I did have an issue when I first got it. I ordered this from Blade HQ, like I said, about a month and a half ago, and it arrived and it wasn't put together correctly from factory, I assume. Turned out to be a very simple issue that I actually fixed myself, but it wasn't put together properly nonetheless. So I wanted to make that clear here. I wanted to throw that disclaimer out there that there was an issue. The issue was minor. There is alright, let me try to explain this as best I can without having the knife disassembled for you. The pivot of the knife is D-shaped, kind of like my fingers are oriented right now. You've got a flat side right there and the rest is round. So that D-shaped pivot was off by about 45 degrees as to where it should be to line up with the scales properly and the steel liners. So there was about, I don't know, I can't do it with my fingers because it's too small of a, you know what I'm saying, just a minor spacing issue between the blade and the steel liners and scales. So what that was causing was excess wobble in play in the blade in a closed and open position, and you could tell it wasn't put together properly because the scales right here and the liners were splayed out slightly. You can see now everything's put together correctly. All I had to do was slightly disassemble the knife, probably about halfway, and just enough to readjust that pivot to where the D shape lined up with the liner and the scale again, and everything popped right back together as soon as I did that, and I was super stoked because I did not feel like sending this thing back to Spyderco. Even though it's going to be, I knew it was going to be a quick turnaround and I probably wasn't going to have any issues. I think you know what I mean. I just didn't feel like sending it back. So now it's working properly, and now I feel like I can talk about it. Yeah, I sat on it for a few weeks before I decided to take it apart and fix it. I figured I kind of have a background in firearms, and I can take guns apart. If I could take guns apart and put it back together properly, I think I can put a knife together, or I think I could take a knife apart and put it back together properly. And that was the case. So I was pretty stoked on that because I'd heard nothing but horror stories about taking apart and putting back together Manix 2s, especially getting the scales back on with the lanyard hole. It is a very tight fit, I'm not going to lie. Very, very tight fit, but it's doable. It's doable with simple tools, so don't be afraid of it. If you have a Manix 2 and you want to swap the scales or something like that, just take your time, be careful, and everything's going to work out alright. So, but yeah, I want to talk about this thing now that I got it and it's properly put together. Yeah, it's a great knife. I was having, excuse me, I was having a personal issue with the knife when I got it, and that was that I didn't have the hand strength I used to be able to actuate this cage lock. It is a lot stiffer than a Benchmade Axis lock or an Able lock or anything like that. It operates on a different principle, on a coil spring instead of an Omega spring, so it's got much more tension to it. But now it's broken in. It had a little bit of lock stick at first, but that's gone away. It worked itself out. just with me playing with the knife enough. So everything's good to go now. Ergonomics are the best I've ever had on a knife. I'll say that right now. Hands down, just flat out. You have so much room to do all kinds of cool... Yeah, it's just good. We're going to go over it in the full review. This is just initial impressions / first thoughts, stuff like that. And I did want to cover the initial issues that I was having with the knife. So just wanted to be 100% transparent on this channel with you guys. There's no reason not to be. So, but yeah, this thing is a laser beam. It is so freaking sharp. Spyderco does such a good job on their factory grinds. Yeah, let me show you the knife again. I love the blade shape. I love the blade shape. Big old Spidey hole. Everything's blacked out. Nice knife. Cannot wait to carry this thing. It's going to be in my pocket for the next month. So I'll be doing periodic update videos on this knife. So keep an eye out for those. But yeah, I think this one's a winner. I think this one is definitely a winner, guys. Now that it is put together, blade centering is right where it should be. Initially it was off to the right. No, left. It was off to the left quite a bit, to where it was almost rubbing. So that was no bueno. But now that it's put together correctly and everything's back where it should be, everything is nice and centered up. I'll show you guys that right there. Yep. Looks good to me. Looking forward to testing this one and getting some use behind it, because this is my new hard user right here. Alright guys, thanks for the continued support in the channel. We're doing great. We're at like 235 subscribers or something like that, which is nuts. So thanks for that. Appreciate it. And to all the new subscribers watching this video, hey, how are you? Welcome to the channel. Glad to have you on board. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me. I'll see you on the next one.